Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about meteorological concepts regarding weather fronts and pressure centers. The lecture will cover four basic meteorological concepts: low pressure centers, high pressure centers, warm fronts, and cold fronts. Furthermore, we will cover each concept's relationship with precipitation, temperature, and wind direction. The first concept we will talk about is low pressure centers. Low pressure centers represent high atmospheric pressure that is low in altitude. Since warm air rises and cold air sinks, low pressure centers are characterized by cooler temperatures. Since the pressure is low in altitude, the air which is being pushed out from the pressure is being pushed upward. As air is pushed upward, it cools down and condenses, creating moisture and clouds, which increase the chance of precipitation. Low pressure centers have strong counterclockwise winds. The next concept we will talk about is high pressure centers. High pressure centers represent high atmospheric pressure that is high in altitude. Since warm air rises and cold air sinks, high pressure centers are characterized by warmer temperatures. Since the pressure is high in altitude, the air which is being pushed out from the pressure is being pushed downward. As air is pushed downward, it warms up and expands, making precipitation less likely. High pressure centers have more mild clockwise winds. The next concept we will talk about is warm fronts. A warm front is an area where a warm mass of air meets a cold mass of air, and the warm air replaces the cold air. This means that the temperature is usually warmer following the warm front. Once the warm air moves in, the air it is replacing warms up and expands. That is why we commonly don't see precipitation following right behind a warm front. The final concept we'll talk about is cold fronts. A cold front is an area where a warm mass of air meets a cold mass of air, and the cold air replaces the warm air. This means that the temperature is usually colder following the cold front. Once the cold air moves in, the air it is replacing cools down and becomes condensed. That is why we commonly see precipitation following right behind a cold front. One interesting thing that happens with warm fronts and cold fronts is that a low pressure center forms when they intersect. Since low pressure is associated with stronger winds and a higher chance of precipitation, it is likely that we will see storms with strong counterclockwise winds at these intersections. That concludes our introduction to basic meteorological concepts. Happy forecasting!